no quiero más hablarte, deja la bobera que lo mío sí arte. No te tires, chicho, yo tengo la matar, tu pistola vieja ya no tira nada. Deja la mentira, tú vives del invento, lo tuyo es un chinchín que se lo lleve el viento. Me tomo lo que llueva y me como un rayo, lo mío si no encuentro, yo soy un caballo.
No quiero chichi, si va a llover que llueva. No quiero chichi.
No abuses de chiquito que Dios está mirando, si te pasan la cuenta te veré pagando. Eso es lo que hay, yo tengo la verdad, eso es lo que traje, para ti no hay nada. Mira para el espejo, dime.
Welcome everybody to another special edition of Casa Cuba Sundays with Michy. I'm very excited to have everyone joining us today. We have a very, very cool show. I just want to plug a little something in before we get into our guests. I want to thank everyone who watched last week's episode. It was truly touching and amazing how many of you watched, shared experiences of our dear departed friend Carl Mudaspa from Cigar Fanatics. And again, I want to say a really, really big thank you to all of you who watched. So, and then moving on to a great episode for this week, we have Mr. Jose Blanco, the international director of sales for Arturo Fuente. I'm sorry, guys, I'm a little nervous today. Again, I'm just really excited. So, producer, can you cue in the special guest? Hi, Jose.
Hey, Michy, Jose. Nice to see you. I've been wanting to be on the show for a long time, but then COVID, traveling. But I was happy to see and finally meet you and Jose at the trade show. I know you guys look like two little kids on Toys R Us, but we were happy that you were enjoying.
We did. We had a great time. It was an amazing experience. It was our first time, and yeah, we were like kids at Toys R Us, just looking at everything, looking at all the shiny new products, and sharing good times with everyone, and meeting people that we've only seen online, including yourself. I thought that was one of the highlights of my trip there.
I know you guys were excited. I got to meet Lauren too. The Duchess was there. The Duke was there. So many people. You know, the show for us, I mean, I've been going to shows since 1997. I mean, I think there was 1 year I missed one show. And it's a great experience. The show didn't have the traffic that we've had in previous years, but I have to say the people that were there were supporting the PCA, were supporting the company, the retailers were supporting. Everybody who was there to do business. So everybody's happy. And I know that next year, our trade show for 2022 is going to be the best show that we've had in the last 10 years.
It was truly an amazing experience. I know that we went as media, but as media from the outside looking in, it was overwhelming. Not only just meeting people, but seeing all this new stuff, all this new cigar technology with cigar ashtrays made out of plain metal. It was out of this world. I saw so many things there that I've never seen before, and I brought back that experience, and I was telling Jose, I'm like, oh my God, did you really take it in, like all the stuff that we saw? And we were just so happy. I know that I've been told that it's usually 3 times the size that it was this year, which was a little disappointing to me because I was a little disappointed that people didn't support it much
No,
as it has
I got to
here?
clarify. I would say a lot of people have exaggerated. People start throwing numbers out there. It
Okay.
was about, I would say, maybe six. If you go to 100%, maybe it was 65%, because you got to figure out that between the four big companies that were not present there, they've run over 400 booths. So, but we can't look at the show in proportion of the size. What we have to look is that the majority of the most successful family-owned companies were there to support the PCA and support the companies, and the retailers came through. There's a lot of transformation going on the board, on the CRA, and plus the PCA, but I can guarantee you that next year we're going to have an amazing show. It's going to be much bigger with more companies than last year, and things that are just going to blow people's minds out. So keep the
Okay.
faith, people.
Well, that's I'm glad that you said that, because obviously, I've again, this was our first time there, so I don't know what it looked like before. I didn't really know much other than what other people said. So I'm glad you clarified that for us, because the first thing that like a lot of people said was, "Oh my God, it was a lot smaller." I mean, we knew that those big companies weren't coming, but I just didn't know exactly how that impacted the show in regards to you saying they have a lot of other little booths. So that makes a difference. Um, but talking about the PCA, I did. Jose and I had a very interesting question. Um, which is the if you can suggest anything to the PCA to help improve the impact of the industry, what would it be?
How many hours do we have for the show? No, I'm joking. Listen, I was on Cigar Coop, and I know that Jay Davis. Shout out to my brother Jay Davis, was on the show, and you have to look at it this way. For years and years and years, the show has been going down, and what we've been getting is a lot of too many people criticizing. So there's more criticizing towards the show than people trying to help you. And I'll give you examples. And I said this, and when I talk, I'm not talking on behalf of Fuente or Arturo Fuente International with Jeremiah. For years, we've had companies that are members of the PCA having their salespeople go out and telling people, don't go to the show, we're going to give you the same deals. Why waste all that money? And I've said this, I've said it privately to some of the past presidents, and I said it to Greg Zimmer, and I made it public on Thursday. If you're a member of association and you have your salespeople going out there telling people not to go to the show, you have two options. Or you fire that salesperson, or you put him where he has to really come in and do his job, or the organization has to take that company out of the membership of the PCA. Or you're with us or you're against us. But you can't be a member of the PCA and then allowing, and I'm not mentioning companies, and probably some companies don't know it or don't want to know it, encouraging people not to go to the show. Has the PCA made a lot of mistakes? Yes, since the day of the RTDA, since the days of IPCPR. I used to be on the advisory committee, and there was a lot of things that I said back then that have coming back to bite them. I told them for years and years and years, you can't have a show where it's all about deals. It has to be more than deals. It has to be a good time, has to be good seminars. We have to teach our retailers best practices, how to handle their cash flow, how to buy. A lot of people go in, well, I just got this great deal. I bought 10 boxes, they gave me three free. You go back 3 months and they still have the 13 boxes there. So no deal is good unless you can sell it. So I personally have told a lot of the board members that I've always supported the organization. Anything they've asked me to go to meetings, to do seminars, to do whatever it is, we have done it. And Carlito is 100% backing the PCA, knocking on a lot of doors and trying to do it. But the other thing I tell a lot of retailers, You complain about the PCA. Of course, they screwed up. Every organization screws up. But you know how bad it would be for retailers if we didn't have the PCA, if we didn't have the CRA. So at the end of the day, stop criticizing so much. It was funny on the show. Coop said the other day there was people writing and giving opinions that weren't even at the show, giving out false information, because we have a lot of enemies. We have the government, we have the health organization, we had the Heart Association, the Lung Cancer Association, all these people against us. Like Carlito says, we're the most discriminated group of people. And what we do is smoke a legal product, which millions and millions of people in Nicaragua, in Honduras, in Cuba, in Brazil, in Ecuador, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, in Dominican Republic, in all these countries, in Cameroon, in Indonesia, they live out of it. What are they going to do? Are they going to get did the World Health Organization give money to all those people? Are the governments of all these countries going to give money to people? No. What the government has to understand is that we're not cigarettes. We're not flavoring. We're not chemicals. This is a product that's 100% tobacco. So please leave us alone. We respect children. We don't target children. We're just about having a good time. And now in many places it's 21 and above. So just leave us alone.
Agreed. And all about these changes and almost hypocritical comments of people that people have made in regards to the show. I think personally, the only thing I felt that they need to do better with is those tags. Okay, my tag fell off 3 times.
I know.
And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it was so crazy. I didn't have time to stop at, Staples or whatever and get some tape or something to put on it. But it was literally hanging by a thread.
Yeah. That's true. I said to somebody, look, somebody said, no, it's because of the environment and things like that. And I said, look, if it's you guys were going to save a nickel or a dime, I would have donated the whatever it was. But they said it was for the environment. But no, a lot of people, it's funny that you mentioned that. Those are the little things that kind of rub people the wrong way. But again, it is what it is. It was a good show. People were happy just to meet. People haven't seen each other for 2 years. The hugs, the kisses, the great times.
It was definitely a great time. And again, the highlight of it was meeting you in person. And I know Jose was super excited to meet you. So was Lauren, April, and I'm guessing everybody else that was there. You're right. It has been too long.
Yes, definitely.
So we have another special guest who wants to come in and say a few words. Producer, can you kick in our next special guest?
Oh my God! Hold it. I take enough abuse on Meet the Professor from Carlito and Jeremiah. So what? I thought that I was the invited guest. So Numbnuts One is going to come and bust my balls again. What is this? A conspiracy? Papa, welcome.
He's on mute.
You're on mute, Carlito.
You're on mute again.
No, it's fine. Listen, that's not my intention now. My intention now is to listen and to hear all the incredible things about the PCA and learn and see what we could do to improve things. Listen, that job is that ball busting thing.
Yeah,
that's I'll leave that for after the show.
But when I signed my contract, there was no part about the ball busting. So things could happen after my 10 years with the company. So
Yeah,
We might have to go to court. I might have to sue you.
It's okay. We'll bust the judge's balls. Let me tell you, it's all right. Hey, listen, it's part of the family, man. If you know when you do the ball busting, and you know better because I know so many stories about you,
You don't.
Professor.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. But I know so many stories. I can't wait for Arturo Sandoval to come and visit, and you guys, because both of you are like, the young rascals when they're growing up, the kind of shit that you guys did. Your stories, listen, are unbeatable. The things that you've done, I still laugh in the middle of the night if I remember them, man. It's credible. So let's not go there, okay? You know exactly, and you know how to bust balls back. So it's part of the culture. I think it's part of the love of the leaves, the cigars, being family. If you can't joke around with each other and everything with respect,
Of
then
course.
you know what, you're not alive. So please,
Michy, I got to tell you something. The show today was fascinating. Fascinating. Because I think one of the things about our show is that, and I said it on Coop Show on Thursday, you were on there, is that people have seen things about you, about Cynthia, about Jeremiah, about myself, and all our guests that they never read in a magazine, that they never read in an interview, that was never talked about. Like I said, behind the scenes, like the movies, you see those clips behind the scenes. And listening to John talk today, which I knew of him but didn't know him, was just amazing. With that, no. The passion, the love, the story, how the father took the loan and all that, and got into all that. I mean, it's amazing. The guy is a Michelangelo, a Picasso, a Van Gogh, a Rembrandt, whatever you want to call him. The guy's amazing.
I definitely agree. He was an incredible guest. I knew he would be, but after seeing him, it was like magnitude, 20 times greater than what I ever anticipated. I learned a lot also listening to things he said, but besides that, his passion, his love for the industry, his commitment, all the things that very few people have nowadays and that all the cigar manufacturers need. So I think we have an ally for years to come to do a lot of great things. And if it wasn't for Meet the Professor, the show, nobody would know who he is, and as no one knew who he was for decades, and that is shameful. That is wrong.
Definitely. I mean, this guy is what he has done. It's just amazing.
Okay, guys. I have a very interesting question in the comments, and Jose, if you can clarify this for this gentleman, he's asking, isn't the PCA for retailers only, or is it open to the public? I'm a little confused.
Could you repeat the question, please, Michy?
Sure. Is it the PCA for retailers only, or is it open to the public? I'm a little confused.
No. It's always been for the for retailers. It's a retail organization I think it's been around, I don't know how many years, 70 something years. I can't remember, close to 80 years. So we've seen consumers there because we have to be honest, some shops have this top guy that's one of his top clients, and he gets 2 passes and he invites them there. But it's a 99.9 retailer and manufacturer convention.
But I also want to clarify for Justin, because I know that there's a few people in the comments saying that it was great to meet you guys. The entourage that I had was all part of my crew, my media crew. So we had Lauren, April, and Aaron with us because we needed the help as well, and they're part of my media crew. So just to clear that up, Justin, I hope that that Jose and I were able to clear that up for you. So I just want to touch a little bit of history on you, Jose. So the one question I ask everyone that comes on this show is, what is your first premium cigar smoking experience?
Well, I got to tell a little bit about my history.
Go ahead.
My father was a political exile from Trujillo. Trujillo was in power for 31 years. We didn't have it, or the Dominicans didn't have it so bad as the Cubans. The Cubans are going on 62, and it's getting worse by the day. So I grew up in New York and then in Long Island, but I grew up seeing my father smoking when he wasn't working, especially on the weekends, 2 or 3, 4 cigars. Even on the weekdays, he would come back from work, whatever it was, time, and he would smoke a cigar. So when Trujillo was killed, we went back in 1962, and my cousin Jorge, his father, Arnaldo Blanco, which has Tabacalera Palma from 1936, we would go there on the summers, sometimes on the weekends. So at the very young age of about 14, I started to smoke little cigars, make little blends. I remember that was the first time that, because basically in Dominican Republic was a lot of just criollo tobacco, a lot of olor. When Piloto Cubano came in for the first time, it really impressed me. It was totally different. And it's totally different. The Piloto of the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, totally different from what it is now. So my mother found out that I was smoking, and she was not happy about it. She told my father, he can't smoke till he's 16. So when I was 16, we had a little get-together. Now his dad brought me a bundle of maybe 15, 20 cigars. He gives it to me, and he says to my mother, Bernadita, he's going to start to smoke. He said, well, okay, what are we going to do? He's been seeing you smoking for so many years. But then my father, when my mother went to the kitchen, pulled me and said, all those cigars I've been missing, I know you've been stealing them, smoking in the day. So after that, at 16, maybe between 16 and 18, I was smoking maybe one a day. Maybe some days I didn't smoke. But as of 18, I started to smoke cigars. And I got to be honest, one of the first premium cigars that I ever smoked, of course, was from La Aurora. I think it could have been an Aurora 4, or maybe a Petit Corona or something like that, to say really premium. Because in Tamboril, there were factories making 500,000 cigars a week, but they were called what we call perritos. There was only 2 versions. There was a Corona size and like a Toro size, but there were no molds, no nothing. And still the cigars were pretty well made. So, and for those who are listening, and then next month, not next month, in October, I'll be 72 years old, and it will be exactly 56 years of smoking cigars.
Major milestone in your life. Hey, listen. Every day is a blessing, and every day that I can light up a cigar is a blessing. So that is, for me, to you, that's a milestone.
Yeah, definitely.
So, another question I have, and this was just, many of us know of your humble beginnings working for the Dominican cigar beer company, Presidente. But I also read somewhere that you also have some time working in the Dominican rum industry. If so, how do you feel that has impacted you as a cigar blender?
Look, I worked for my father for many, many years. This is something maybe I've told on a couple of shows. My father had a big, I would say a medium-sized cold cuts. We made salami, bologna, ham, all that stuff. And I know how to make all that. I don't know how to make it now, but I used to make it. And there was a very bad time in Dominican, political situation, crisis. And then my father said, he sold everything and just dedicated himself to his farms and all that. So after that, he said, I got to get a job. So I went to work for Brugal. So at that time, to be a salesman of Brugal or Bermudez, it was like a privilege to get a job like that. I'm going to tell you in numbers, more or less. To be making, at that time, around $25,000 to $3,000 in 1975. That was all the money in the world. And I worked for Brugal for 5 years. And then there was a political situation in DR. My cousin was running for president. and I was a little bit of a hothead. And my father said, "You got to get out of the country for a while. At least go to New York." Then I was in New York. I worked for the government for a while. Then, close to the elections, I came back. And then in 1982, I got a job at Cerveza Presidente as a salesman. Again, there was only 8 salesmen for the north part of the country. So that was like being a privilege. At that time, I was even making more money than I was making at Brugal. So I've been fortunate. So I worked as a salesman until, I don't know, 81 to, I think it was the 90s. Then in 90, they promoted me. Then they made me sales director for the region of Santiago. And then after that, in 1999, I had been a big critic of the boom and all that. And I smoked a lot of cigars at that time. I was on the panel for La Aurora. And then they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. They offered me a dream job to go work in La Aurora. And then I was there till about 2011. And then I retired. And then I was in Sweden. I got a lot of calls from a lot of companies. But I don't have anything against the big companies, but I always liked the family company. So I got a call from Alejandro Martinez Cuenca. I was the senior VP for Joya de Nicaragua 2 years. After that, I wanted to go back. Jasper was born there. I took about 8 months of consulting with a couple of companies. I did fabulous that we came out with our brands. They were doing fantastic, but all of a sudden, the 2016 August 8th date comes up. People were talking about that you had to spend $200,000 or $300,000 on testing, all this, predicate date. And I said, I'm old, and to take $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 into something that's uncertain. And look, I did it with no regrets. And I'm glad that the FDA has stalled everything and everybody's making cigars, and I hope it goes away. So then I'm thinking, and then I talked with Ernie, and I talked, and then I worked for Ernesto 3 years. So when the contract was up in August, my father had left land, certain business, and my son was helping me out. But my best friend and lawyer died of more than 30 years, so I had to make a decision. So between August, September, October, November, and December, I was trying to clear everything up, which is, to be honest, not all cleared up. So in December, Carlito called me up, or I called him up, let's have dinner. We had dinner. We talked. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm planning to go to Europe. He was going to Europe on vacation with the family, came back in January, went to the farm with him, went a couple of times, went to the factory. One thing came to another, and all of a sudden, friendship of 35, almost 35 years now, I'm working together, even though he's busting my balls every time we see each other. But it's been a privilege to me. It's like a dream come true.
That's awesome. I'll take it.
There he goes again. What? So what did I say wrong now?
You're on mute, Carlito.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that I was chewing. I was having my lunch. But anyway, it is the truth. It's exactly the way it happened. We've been friends for over 30-something years. We have a lot of good times together. We always talked about cigars. We talked about the world of cigars, what's best for cigars. But you never talked about any manufacturer. I never asked you about any manufacturer. We always had a respect, and that's one of the things that I really admired about you, because that's really what I respect. That we could get along no matter what. I never asked you what blend does so and so make, what cigar, what wrapper they use, what binder they use. Never, not once, and you know that.
But I never asked you either.
No, never did. So we were friends, and we wanted to. That shows true respect, because we wanted to remain friends. And probably you knew as well as I knew them. The day you start asking those questions, the day things start separating.
Oh yeah.
But no, we were friends, and yeah, you came to visit with December, this and that, and you came back, and you said you were moving to Europe. You're retiring. Your family's in Europe and everything, and You know, I just hated to see somebody with so much energy and so much to give to the rest of the world as a mentor, as a professor, you know, just to go away. I don't know, maybe you'd be in a smoke shop assisting somebody or doing what you did, but that's when the conversation came up. We'll say to see if there's a possibility you could be a mentor for my children. You could just whatever it is. You're old school. We think the same. You have the right philosophy. I know your history. I have a lot of faith in you. You're my friend, and I know I could trust you. I know you. I know what loyalty means to you. Same thing it means to me. And I think it was just a natural, and it was, you know, it's one of those things. And with all the years, a lot of decisions I made, I haven't made a mistake yet. And you sure are not going to be the first.
I know it was. I know you always said to me it was meant to be. It wasn't. And one thing that Carlito always said was, you know, it's funny. Every time you would just finish with one company, all of a sudden I'm thinking about you, and all of a sudden, whoop, he's off to the races again. So
it's okay, man. That's beautiful.
I know. Let me tell you something. Now that I have you there, we had a great time last night with the people of Mexico. Oh my God.
I'm sorry I missed it. Something came up. I just couldn't be there, man. It was fantastic.
I know.
Sorry I missed. How about John Paul? Congratulations.
No, John Paul couldn't make it because he had the baby. So you're my co-pilot, Cynthia Fuente, was there with me. Alejandro. Beautiful. Alejandro sent you regards, all the guys from Mexico. It was amazing. We started at 9:15 my time. We finished at 12:15. It was 3 hours. So it's been a busy week for me.
If Cynthia was there, thank you, Cynthia. Thank you very much. It means a lot that she was able to do that. That's beautiful. And Cynthia knows Alejandro and everything, so it's great. That's great. They're great people. It's a great country. You know, it's a special place, man. So thank you, Jose, for doing that and bringing people together, man. That's what it's all about.
You know, Carlito, we talked about that last night, and how we talked on our show and other shows we've been invited. Could you imagine that we would not have this technology with what we went through the COVID? I don't know. Maybe you'd be in the loony house and I'd probably be dead. Who knows what would have happened to Jeremiah and to all of us? And I mean, it's amazing how many people have you met? How many people have I met? I mean, we've gotten to know people pretty well from parts of Europe where we didn't know those people from Denmark, people from Croatia, our friends from Ghana, our friends from Nigeria, our friends from Greece. I mean, from all over the place. So it's been amazing. And one thing I said, I think I said it on the show, that because Coop asked the question, how the impact of social media has been with you. Because I remember on your Instagram account, you had 127 people. You had like 3 accounts. I said, Carlito, what the hell's going on? He says to me, Papa, I got to fix this up. And I we didn't actually make a bet because Carlito and I don't make bets. I told Carlito, I will guarantee you that before the end of the year, you will have 10,000 followers. And Carlito said to me, you think so? And I think he's up to 8,400 and something. So you're going to reach the 10,000. But how many people have you known and how many things have you discovered on that Instagram page that you sent me the photos and said, Papa, we got to check out this thing. So media, there's a whole bunch of people that don't believe in that, but I just tell them you're missing the boat because Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, more than anything else, Instagram covers the whole world. It's just amazing. You might agree with me, Carlito. If you don't, it's no problem.
Let me just say something. It's like having your blinders on and all of a sudden they take it off. And it's not embarrassing to say, it's the truth. There's people I've never met personally, and I know them, and I consider them friends, like a friend that I went to high school with or a friend for a long time. They're closer to me possibly just because of the smile that they bring to me, or this because they send a little message or this or that. This is my interaction with day to day. And I really appreciate it. It's not if they smoke Fuente cigars or it's I really appreciate the communication, the love that I really take it as sincere that they share with me. There's no question about that. Instagram, thank you, Jose, and the social media. has been a big part of my life. Where am I every Sunday? Sunday was a day of beaches, of brunches, of Puerco Asao and the big parties. Where am I at? I'm in front of my computer, in front of my phone every Sunday, and it's just because I feel not an obligation. I feel a need just like you do. I feel a need to interact with people. I don't want to lose their contact. I want their love to grow. I want to get to know them. There's so many people. Think about it. So many people that we have met, and we have built a solid, strong, healthy relationship through social media. You're absolutely right.
Carlito, could you imagine what the world would be without you and me meeting my cousin Joey?
No, I just can't imagine, man. I can't imagine my cousin Joey. Joey's the best, and I don't know if he's watching now, but
of course he's watching.
He doesn't sleep. He's always there to support my cousin. I can't wait when he comes to visit the DR in a couple of months or whenever it is now that we could get things a little bit better here with the COVID. It's going to be fantastic. He's going to be blown away. But you know what?
Joey's a really big fan of our show. And thank you, Joey, for tuning in every time we're on, dude. We love you.
Yeah, we do love Joey because Joey is a special human being. Joey was sent to Earth to bring smiles to other people. And Joey has proven that many times, the times that I've been with him, I see him supporting and everything. Joey's a special human being. He's an angel. And I just feel very honored that I had the opportunity that Joy has touched my heart in the way he has. Not only me, Cynthia and everybody.
Well, speaking of Cynthia, producer.
Oh my God! There's my co-pilot.
Yes, I'm here.
I've been
listening
Cynthia.
in. Hi, brother. Hello, Michy. Hello, Jose.
Hi, sweetie.
Jose, you've been a busy beaver.
Yep.
Yeah, this week, Coop at 4:30 to 7. Then I did with you. Thank God that you helped me out yesterday. I was telling Carlito how great of a show. Those people went berserk. Our show today was amazing. Being now with Michy and Jose. And the funny thing is that this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning when I got up, let me see who's on the Cigar Fanatics and the Zoom bar. All of a sudden, who do I find there? You went on the
Zoom bar. Oh my God.
Yes, I've been going on a lot now. Who do I find there?
Yeah.
My cousin Joey, head of the troops.
Of course,
Michy, Jose, and 2 other guys there. Look, I'm older than everybody here. Carlito's really 75. He keeps saying he's 66, but that's a state secret. Let me tell you something. Everybody knows the passion and the love that I have for this industry. But let me tell you something. This that we have done now with social media and all, whether it's the UK or the Cigar Fanatics or watching Abe. I saw Abe yesterday on the show. Had a great show. I threw a couple of the hardliners out there because they had Scott Pierce on there. And Abe brought it up. And Scott Pierce agreed with me. We're going to have Scott Pierce on our show, but we have to be honest. I've said this in my seminars. I think I've done close to 2,000 now. I want somebody to tell me what industry in the world has so much love, so much passion, so much camaraderie. It doesn't matter if you're smoking a $2 cigar or $100 cigar, that we all get along and we care. And one of the things now, and I only met Carl a couple of times on the UK because Carl was the one that created that. The tribute that was done to Carl now,
I know,
which I watched it when everybody was down there at the funeral home and all that. That tells you how amazing our industry is and this communication that we had. And Carl, like I said it this morning to Michy, to Jose, and a couple other guys, will be remembered for a long time because taking a baker's dozen, like they say, and bring it up to 13,000 people. And I've said it every time I go in the morning sometimes. I wasn't there a lot of time because of the huge time difference. Now when I'm getting up, I try to get in, even if there's 3 people there, and I just go in for a little bit. But if there's somebody that every year, and I said it this morning, and I'm not the leader of this pack, that every year on his birthday, or the way the group wants to say it, we have to have something special for Carl that day. I even said, let's do a 24-hour thing
Yes.
where we all take turns just to remember Carl, that in my book, my humble opinion and 2 cents, is a man that at least in cigar world will go down in history for what he created.
I
That's a
agree
Totally agree.
wonderful
100%.
We
idea.
all do.
This
We agree. Yeah, no, we
We
all
lost
agree.
Cynthia.
Cynthia, where you go?
She'll she'll come back.
No, but it's true. You know, what Carl has done, and I mentioned it with Michy and Jose and different shows. Uh, you know, when I found out he was ill, I heard he was ill, but I had no idea. And the times that I communicated with him through, you know, through whatever, through WhatsApp, through messaging, whatever it was, he never mentioned of his illness and everything. I didn't find out till after. And to me, that's a real hero. But he wanted to bring people together, and he knew his time was in life, you know, on earth was counted, but he had the real philosophy, which everybody's trying to let other people know what it's all about. It's about people, it's about communications, about relationships. He did something that, imagine, like you said, from just starting something to bring people together during COVID through the social media into you know 10,000, 13,000, and from all over the world. Because the last couple of shows, there's people from Africa. There's people from all over every continent. I mean, it's not just the United States. It's from all over the world.
So to show, and to give a little bit more on Carl here, this is one of these guys. You know how dedicated he was to his group. He would come on the Zoom from the hospital. We wouldn't. He would go off camera most of the time, but he would just sit there and listen to us because to him we were his family. We were an extension of his family, and so he was to us. And I thought that that was the most beautiful thing he ever did. He wanted to be involved 24 hours, 7 days a week, no matter what. He was in bed in pain, and he would still just log in just to listen.
I knew through one of his best friends that he was very sick, but I didn't know, to be honest. They never told me how sick he was. But I think that the tribute that he has gotten on the day of his funeral, and all the people on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the posts about him, tells you the love and the respect and admiration that people had for Carl.
Yes, and he earned every iota of it. He earned it all.
And he did it
Sorry,
his
guys, I
way.
lost
He
you.
did it his way.
And he did it his way. I know. We all love Carl. We're going to hold him in our hearts forever. And he's brought so many people together. This is the best industry in the world. I don't know how there's any other industry that could beat this one. But I wanted to come in and say hello to Michy, Jose. It's always good to see you, brother. And to welcome Jose. And I just wanted to say hi. I told Michy I had a lot of things going on today, but I definitely listened to Meet the Professor, which was a phenomenal show. I look forward to meeting John in person one day soon when he comes to the cathedral. And it's always
Oh,
good to drop in and say hello. So I just wanted to show my support.
Thank you.
And I've been
thank
listening
you.
the whole time. It's always such a good show.
Thank you, co-pilot.
Well,
Hmm.
Cynthia, you actually met John once. You probably don't recall in Dortmund. He was in
That's what I
Dortmund.
thought. Yeah, in
Yes, yes, of
Dortmund.
course.
But
You
not to be
know,
able to get to know him and all, he
no,
seemed like
exactly.
such an
No, in Dortmund
interesting
is,
person.
of
And it
course,
was so fast. Yeah.
it's very difficult. You know, you want to say hello to some people, and there's 5 or 10 people standing behind them waiting to see you. It's very difficult. But yes, he was there, a quick hello and everything. He's an amazing man. You know, one of the things, we're talking so much about the arts and everything. Could you imagine if it wasn't for the effort of the PCA and CRA? This was a subject. These beautiful labels and everything would have been covered. Could you
Oh,
imagine that? I mean, just
that's
imagine.
100%.
Imagine without the unification of the industry fighting together, or let me go back, for a group of people who really fought very hard, including the PCA. this conversation would have never happened today. It would have never happened. And he said something. Of course, you could invent the machinery, but if you don't have the business, why would the machineries be invented if there's no purpose for it? And there would have been no purpose anymore for so many things as far as art and beauty in the world of cigars. It would have ripped everybody's hearts out, I think, and everybody's soul, because I really think it's a big part of who we are and what we do. We express it through art, through colors. We express it through our words. It's just a way of communication. That's what cigars are, is communication, it's socialization. And I just wanted to bring that up because that's a subject, thank God, we didn't talk about today.
So, speaking of, the whole topic is of cigars here. What are you smoking, Jose Blanco?
I've been saving this baby for about a year and a half. Doble dos. In my personal opinion, this is very personal. I know Carlito's going to probably go after me with something. In the line, they're all great. But in my personal opinion, the double dose is the one that smokes the best. That's the one that I feel that the blend works the best on the sides. I pick up the spice, I pick up the sweetness, a little bit of notes of earthiness. It's complex, it's rich, it's very aromatic. And like I said, it's very Cubanesque, to be honest. Because people ask me, what tastes like a Cuban? I said, another Cuban. But there's cigars that you smoke that have notes. If you have smoked Cuban cigars, I mean, not the fake ones, that you pick up notes of it. And I have a story to tell about the Casa Cuba. And I think Carlito has heard it before. I'm working. I was with Ernie at that time, was it? No, I might have been on my own at that time. It doesn't matter. So I walk into a shop. I go into a lot of shops, and people like to give me unbanded cigars to try to guess. I'm not going to be honest, maybe 7 out of 10 times I get it. And they give me this unbanded cigar, and I start to smoke. And I had to look at it twice, because at the beginning, gave me some notes like really Cubanesque. And I said, like, wow. And I said, is it new? He says, yeah, it just came out. And all of a sudden I said to
hi guys, nice to see you.
Hi, Jasper.
Hi, Jasper.
He has to come in and do his celebrity thing. He sent a beautiful video to Liana. It's I can matarlo. So they gave me the cigar, and I'm smoking it. And I'm like, I gotta be honest. I mentioned 2 or 3 companies. I'm not gonna lie about it. He says, man, this tastes a lot like some of the bean stuff. It has that spice and has that. And I mentioned a couple of other. And I said, you're not even close. Then I said, okay, please. This is killing me. And they said, look, this is the new Casa Cuba from Fuente. I said, what? It was totally different than anything that Fuente had blended before. I'm not saying that it's better than an Opus or a Don Carlos or a Hemingway or anything, but it was just totally different. And then I remembered the talk about that Don Carlos was making this. I think this cigar was something that Don Carlos left us to remember him by forever. Even though every time we smoke a Don Carlos, we see Don Carlos. But this Casa Cuba, to me, I mean, to be honest, probably after Don Carlos, the Añejo, it's probably going to come in third place for me out of the Fuente lineup. I don't know what Carlito has to say. I'll probably get the pink slip on Monday.
No, never happened.
But
no, but you're absolutely right. There was a cigar that my father was literally, he's never done that. In the last 30 years, we were together, 35 years. It was a cigar that I was traveling a lot. I was going to Dubai. I was going to Russia, Brazil, trying to build the brand internationally for only one reason. What inspired me was the FDA. I had no idea what was going to happen to our company. I realized that we would lose 30% of our sales we could not keep our company open with the same and employ the same people and the infrastructure and everything we worked so hard for with 30% less sales. And I started traveling. I saw the vision. I had to see where I could compensate with the loss of sales in the United States. And during that time, he worked on this cigar. And I'm not saying it wasn't the last 30 years he worked on. It was the last years of his life, the very last years. And I remember one day I get to the office. He's something he worked with Rich Dolak, who was very, very close to my father. Like Rich is to me today and Cyril also. But he worked with, and they were doing these things and they hid it from me intentionally. So one day I get in and I go back and I see there's a couple of boxes going to be shipped to Tampa. Just a couple of boxes, prototypes. And I look and I see, because this was a label that I was with my father, and maybe people, they always say my father, it was Don Carlos. But I used to go to this little factory called Casa Cuba that was owned by Modesto Maceda. And we used to send him, we used to help him with loaning him tobacco. He would help us. We were two little Buckeyes, chinchadas. And I remember I loved that old label. We'll talk about labels today, a beautiful old label. And I was after my father, buy that label. We'll do what we can. It got to the point that the man, he was already in his 90s, and he told my father, he says, the only thing, I says, I don't want anybody to take this. I know that you love it, and your son's happy with this label and everything. I mean, he loves it. I would, if anything, I'll sell it to you. But my father said, I can't afford it. I don't know. He says, well, you just pay me whatever you can, whenever you can. But that was a brand. We made it in Tampa for a while, keep the brand alive. And we still made it in Dominican Republic, but never really commercially big time. We sold it to just one or two people to keep the brand alive. It was a brand. When I came to the Dominican Republic, I was so grateful to the Dominican Republic that I didn't want to come out or exploit. I didn't believe in it because I seen so many people doing it. I seen people take the brands of the families and everything. It was against my beliefs. I didn't want to use Cuba as a brand and everything in the Dominican Republic. I wanted to promote the Dominican Republic, show my gratitude. This is who we are, Dominican Republic. Of course, Cuba is my heritage, and I always never denied it. I always was very proud of and promoted it first. But you could see our boxes that even say Cuban seed or this or that. Maybe someday it will. Because for whatever. But I didn't believe it in that time. And I get to the office and I see these two boxes of cigars are going out with the old label. It looked like very Ybor City, small little factory, the real old stuff, which it was. And I told the secretary, her name was Lucy Hernandez, Lucy, what the hell is this? Blah, blah. And your father and Rich are working on a project. They're sending this to Tampa to take pictures and everything. And I just raised all kinds of, there's no freaking way. I didn't say freaking, I said the other word. This is not leaving here. And I called my father and I stopped the whole project for a couple of years. My father then he's becoming ill and, getting old and everything. That was a life thing. The blend was great. And I just want to say, my father told me, he says, look, for the last 30 years, you've done all the blends and everything. And I've been here administrating and all this stuff. But I want you to know something. This blend, I made it. And I want you to know that I taught you. And this is the best blend. I want to show you I still have what it takes. And I could still make a great cigar. And the honest truth, I keep dropping this stuff. The honest truth, my father told me that. He says, the old man still has it. I made this blend, and this is something I want to leave behind. As a matter of fact, the last cigar, Divine Inspiration, from a hospital in New York City, he called the office and he said, I want you to do this size, put this leaf with this leaf, and make this cigar. I don't think he never smoked it, but that's the Divine Inspiration. That's just, he true grit, John Wayne. He went with his guns on and he left that, as a legacy and everything. And it's just a great cigar.
To me, it's like I said, it just blew me away. And of course, when I was traveling, if a shop had it, the stoners would tell you, you want to try something. And if always there was a double dose, so I smoked the other sizes too, but this size, to me, this cigar could compete with any cigar in the world. And I'm not saying this because I work with Carlito, because he knows how I am, how honest I am about cigars and what I like and I don't like. But this is, sometimes I make my post and I tell people this: if you're a passionate cigar lover, this is a must try cigar. My 2 cents.
Well, I know one person that's going to agree with you and defend you and love you to death. Michy, because I think she agrees with you.
Listen,
And Cynthia. And of
the
course,
most beautiful work of art
well,
right
thank you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you. But let me just say something. That was 100% my father. And he left letting me know that he was still the best.
The Divine Inspiration is my favorite cigar of the Casa Cuba line. And honestly, I didn't know the story completely when I first smoked it. It already won my heart. It already won me over. And again, I have to say thank you to Franklin over at the Macau Fine Cigar Shop in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Because he was the one who introduced me to it. And he didn't tell me at first about the story. It took a few weeks, and I was like, Paco, I love this cigar. Like, and then he was like, Nietzsche, do you know the story? And I was like, no. He sat down and he told me. I literally had tears in my eyes because if I loved it then, I loved it even more after I was told that. And honestly, it's the most inspirational and the most beautiful story ever. So
And
thank you.
and it's a real and true story, heartfelt story. And you mentioned Franklin. I remember Franklin driving many times to New York City to go visit my dad and everything. 'Cause he had such an admiration and love for my father. And you know Franklin, he's got a heart of gold. But yes, that's absolutely true story and everything. That cigar, it's truly special. It's a cigar that's different blend than any other cigar that we have made in the past.
That's why, sorry to interrupt, because I've smoked everything that Fuente had made for so many years. That's why it surprised me. I was waiting for a fastball at 85. They threw me a fastball at like Mariano Rivera at 100. I didn't see it, so it is what it is.
I love the Yankees reference. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you should go with Pedro Martinez better. But
Hey,
anyway,
hey, Carlito, let's try to keep this nice. Let's not get into that. When you have 27 championships,
yeah, I agree.
like the Yankees have, then you can talk.
Hey guys, I have an even bigger Yankees fan who wants to come in and say hi.
Let's do that.
Gentlemen,
You're muted, Jose.
and ladies.
You're muted. Hi.
Hey, so, we can let the Red Sox and everybody else across the other divisions catch up for the next 10 years, and they still won't get to us. So we'll leave it at that. All right. Talk to me when you're near 25. I love it.
But the funny thing about it is that a lot of people know that Liana's husband, Manny, which I just adore, to be honest. I mean, Manny and I we haven't seen each other in about a year and a half, but we text a lot. We send a lot of jokes. And the thing is that after Liana got married with Manny, I don't know what the hell happened to Carlito. All of a sudden, he's a big Yankee fan. And now all of a sudden, he's with the Red Sox. Tú eres un traidor.
No, I used to be a Yankee fan. It's true I was a Yankee fan. Of course I was.
I know.
Bobby Richardson, Tom Trash, Tony
Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle, Elston Howard, Joe Peppertone. Of course I was a Yankee fan.
Whitey Ford.
Well, I know Whitey Ford, Mel Stoudemire. Of course I was a Yankee fan. But then my daughter fell in love with a Yankee. And then I fought for years and everything, but finally I had to give up, man. You know what? So listen, everybody does what they have to do in life. He does his job, I'm doing my job. My job's to be a father-in-law. My job's to be like Archie Bunker. I got to bust his balls. Don't you know, as part of expressing love, I got to do this. It's not that I want to, but I got to pretend it's real, and I just have to bust his balls. He is, of course, he worked with the Yankees, 15 years and everything, in a top management position. Great guy and everything. And there's nothing that I love more just to needle him a little bit, you know?
That's it. That's it. So, Jose, something that I've got to ask with you. Out of the, I'm not going to put a number to it. You can, if you choose, the many years that you've been with the cigar industry, what do you think has been the most influential person to your career?
Oh,
Or who? I should say, not what.
look, I can't just mention one person, because if I mention one person, and Carlito knows this better than me, I cannot talk about cigars without mentioning Fernando Leon,
Correct.
which Carlito and Don Carlos knew very well.
Correct.
He's probably been the most knowledgeable tobacco man in Dominican Republic. He knew so much about tobacco that you could give him a leaf of tobacco. He could smell it, see, and he says, this is from San Vito, this is from Jamal, this is from Gurabo, this is from Jacagua. He had a palate and a knowledge of tobacco. I cannot not mention Benji Menendez. I mean, Benji, when I started off, I knew about tobacco, but Benji helped me so much. I learned a lot in Nicaragua. With Ernesto, I learned a lot. Believe it or not, in the year and a half that I've been with Carlito, my knowledge has even expanded more. Because the thing, like, if you get, and this has happened to us because Carlito, me, and Ernie have been together, also with Juan Sosa. Look, the difference between us, and you could say we're kind of old school compared, and we have a lot of new young talent out there, but we just look at cigars and blends and aging and all the process in a different way. So a lot of people have been very influential in my career, but I have to say Fernando, of course, with Carlito, I've learned a lot too, all the 3 years that I spent with Benji. And I met a lot of people. Also, when I was in Nicaragua, I spent a lot of time, at Drew Estate. I spent a lot of time with Saka, and I spent a lot of time with Jonathan. I spent a lot of time with Pepin. So what you have to have is really an open mind. But looking at the Fuente operation, and I've seen practically all the factories in Cuba, all the factories in Dominican, all the factories in Nicaragua. Fuente has a different way of doing everything different. The fermentation of tobacco, the curing in the barns, the aging of the tobacco, the making of the cigars, the time they let cigars rest to be able to ship. So a lot of people have been influential, and still, right now that I'm on my last, I hope, 10 years of working, if I'm healthy, God willing, I will still keep asking questions and learning.
If there's something that you still want to learn in the industry that you feel you haven't, I won't even say perfection, because I think a true cigar professional will never say, okay, I've reached perfection, that's it. We're always constantly learning.
That doesn't perfection doesn't exist. Nobody knows it all. You have people that are great blenders, but they're not great growers. There are people that are great cigar makers, but they're not great at marketing or in business. I don't think there's anybody you could say he's un peso completo. He's a full weight that knows it totally everything. I've always admitted I should have spent more time in the farms. I had the opportunities to it, but I was more involved in sales and blending and marketing than any other thing. But I still ask questions while I'm talking with Benji, talking to Carlito, talking to anybody where I can learn something. Because, look, one of the things I always do in my seminar that I tell people in the beginning, look, if you're invited to a seminar at Tasty and the guy who's in front of you tells you he knows everything about cigars, that he has nothing to learn, listen to the guy, and as soon as you get home, hit the delete button because he's full of shit. This is an ongoing process. But just look of the transformation, all the things that had happened with Fuente. Who would have thought of making a pink box, a red box? Who would have thought in 1980 or when Between the Lines came out? Because you see everybody making barber poles today. But actually the first cigar with two wrappers was Between the Lines. Who created that? Carlito. Who brought back the figurados that were long gone from Cuba, and now everybody has figurado? It was Fuente, the cedar, the red band on the foot of the cigars, the beautiful bands that have been making. So it's all there, and you know, the creativity of Carlito, what he has done, and I'm not saying this because I work with him, because I've said it before. Carlito knows what my position has always been, defending the Fuente family in places where people, because of jealousy and whatever it is. So we always say in Spanish, al César lo que es del César. You have to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So that's why I've always respected Carlito. And like you said before, has been a long friendship. We've always talked. I never asked him anything. He never asked me anything. Now I got to ask him a lot because I'm the new kid on the block at the Fuente. So, and you don't see like a 71-year-old new kid on the block ever.
Wow. Oh. It's just
Carlito,
so much.
am I the new kid on the block with 71 years old?
You mentioned that, and I just say one thing. You know, this is a world of experience. My mentors were my grandfather's peers. My mentors were Angel Oliva in his 80s and his peers, somewhere in their 90s. These people that smoke cigars were in their 90s. In Jalapa, in Jamastran, in different places and everything. I look at experience as an opportunity to learn. There's nothing like experience. We make so many mistakes. We're foolish. We're full of passion when we're young. You listen to those who have done it and have been there and everything. You realize things that you could have never imagined before. I don't see it that way, Jose. I see you as a young man with so much energy, with so much passion. And what you said many, many times, which I admire and I support. Teach. Don't take it to the grave. Don't let it lost. Teach. Like today. Today we had to Meet the Professor. We're talking about labels and this. Teaching people shouldn't be lost. If it's lost, our purpose in life was meaningless. We have to pass it on. We have to pass on the love. We have to pass on the history of the sacrifices of all these families, as you mentioned. The great Don Fernando Leon, one of my heroes in life. Of course, Benjamin Menendez is still around. I saw his photo the other day. He looked freaking great, man. He looks like he's a Marine squad leader or whatever. He looks great. And, you know, and it just on. And you see all these people, they all live into their 80s and 90s and everything. My father passed when he was 81. He was one of the youngest ones to pass away. But my father had polio. My father had so many things, a young man. He worked this, but whatever it was, he worked to his last day. And cigars and tobacco, I really believe one of the most important elements is if we could somehow convey the past into the present. If we forget the past, or we forget the sacrifice, or we forget the blood, sweat, and tears, if we become completely blind to those who gave us the opportunity to be where we're at, then the future is going to become synthetic. It's going to become one SKU to another SKU. And the lover of the cigar is not going to find any excitement. It's just going to be just like drinking, I don't want to say Coca-Cola because it sells like shit, but everything will be the same.
Carlito, you know, I don't know why you were talking about old timers, because I never met him. But you know who lost his life in Dominican Republic?
Yes.
Pissed off because the guy didn't.
Yeah, Carlos Toraño.
Charlie, yeah, Don Carlos Toraño.
Don Carlos Toraño.
Which was an institution.
Which was one of the pioneers.
I guess you met him, right?
Yes, I did. One of the pioneers at a very early age. One of the pioneers that brought Cuban seed along with Napoleon Padilla, and one of the first with President. Well, he wasn't president. He was
Hipólito.
Yes, he was the Minister of Agriculture back then. Our president, Hipólito Mejia, who started with Piloto Cubano projects in the Dominican Republic to grow premium quality, the replacement for Cuban cigars, Cuban tobacco, which was not available to that part of the world. And they came here with the seeds and they don't want to start it with the techniques and everything. And he was so upset. He was so passionate. These are the stories I know from his family, his son. And I heard it from him, but he got so upset, so pissed off that his blood pressure shot to the roof and he died right inside. He had a heart attack right inside the curing bar because it wasn't done the way that he thought had to be done. Yeah, that's pretty damn commitment. Yeah, he died. That's pretty much. Yeah, he died.
He had a heart attack right there. I remember I was young at that time.
Yeah, we were all young. I was younger and everything. But the stories, everybody, it's a story because he was one of the very respected, loved persons in the industry and one of the pioneers that left Cuba and brought. I remember another character that you probably never heard of. I'll say, I think it was his nephew, if it wasn't his son, Luis Toraño. What a personality, Luis Toraño. He ran Universal. The tobacco man and everything. Oh man, it goes back. There's a lot of people, man. You mentioned Toraño, and I'm thinking about Luis Toraño, another one of the Toraños and everything that people have no idea. Tobacco buyer for Universal Leaf under Lloyd Vega. Poof. Talk about powerful people in those days.
But the other thing is that a lot of people don't know because Toraño, Charlie's father, Don Carlos, when he came, he made cigars, but the Toraños were not cigar makers in Cuba. They were one of the biggest cigar leaf buyers in Cuba, and they're first cousins with Benji. The Menendez and the Toraños, they're cousins.
Correct.
So you guys.
Speaking of people that are kind of behind the scenes, and this is one particular gentleman that I see dropped into our guest studio. I'll bring him in right now. He'll probably want to say hello to you for a second, Jose.
Wow.
The man behind the scenes at Fuente headquarters down in DR. Ciro.
Whoa.
I mean, John, how are you guys? And smoking Alantero, your favorite cigars? One of your favorite cigars.
Beautiful, man. Thank you, man. Hope you're having a good weekend.
I'm here enjoying a lot. I love when you about the because that gives us everything of the friends. Enjoying a lot. Keep program. I'm listening, enjoying my cigar here.
Thank you for joining us, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ciro, we had a great time with the people of Mexico last night. Alejandro estaba contento. Cynthia helped me out. And those guys were really, really, they're hyped up there. So, we excused John Paul because, he had everybody understood that, his first child and all that. But they're really hyped up with Fuente product there, Alejandro and his team. And everybody was on the call. They had people from all over also. They had people from Colombia, from Venezuela. I think somebody there was from Central America. But you could see the passion in those people. I mean, it was 3 hours last night, 3 hours. And the questions that they were asking were not, I'm not saying the stupid questions, but they were on point. They really wanted to know about tobacco and about Fuente product and why this and why that. And why part of the success, and we told them the story. People see all the greatness of Fuente, but people don't remember. They got burned down in Nicaragua. They were burned down in Honduras. They go to the Dominican Republic, but I told that story last night too, because I'm a firm believer. Of course, we want to be great. We want to be this. We want to do that. But people have to know the beginnings of people. And I think that our show has been so important that all our guests, nobody came in flashing around a mink coat or a Mercedes or a Rolex. People told all the shit and all the bad times they go through. And that's why this show, like Carlito says in Jeremiah, is so important. So we're long gone. and young people started to see, let me see how Fuente did, or Ciro, or Jose Blanco, or Jeremiah. What was this about 30, 40 years ago? So people know the hard work that has been put into this. Just look at the efforts that we have done just trying to get retailers to understand the importance of PCA and the importance of CRA. And I've said it on many shows, and I said it on Coop Show on Thursday, that we will have next year the best show we've had in the last 7 or 8 years. We, as a company, are going to do our part, but we need other people to step up to the plate. This cannot be only in the hands of Jorge, Carlito, Lito, the Newmans, Rocky, Robin Levine, and 2 or 3 other people. This has to be a unified esfuerzo. How do you say esfuerzo?
Approach,
Commitment, force.
Commitment, yeah. You know, I'm old. A commitment to everybody to do this. Because at the end of the day, like El Papo del Humo says, somos todo uno. We're all one.
That is correct, Jose. And you mentioned something earlier in the very beginning of the show. You said people will not understand what their lives would be. I'm talking about consumers and tobacconists. What would their life be and how things would change if there was not a PCA? They have no idea because they haven't. Without a PCA, things get fragmented, it gets separated. It's the beginning of the end. We need to keep the PCA together. Yes, you are correct. PCA is correct. The board understands they're correct. A lot of things have been wrong. CRA understands. I'm speaking for Fuente, not the CRA. We speak about it. We've done a lot of things that could have been differently. We're learning as we grow. Remember, we were all forced into this because of the FDA. And we learn as we grow, but we want to be transparent. We want to be all inclusive. And we want to work together so be one family so that we can continue to enjoy our lives and do really what we're not harming anybody. All the contrary. We're just a vehicle to bring people together. We just want this family to be, not my family, this family of cigar lovers to be able to enjoy themselves and grow around the world, as is what's happening now. It was my grandfather's days, it was just this community. It was West Tampa, Ybor City, maybe Miami. That was like going to another part of the world. And maybe the Cubans in Burger Line Road in New Jersey. That was this world. My father's world started changing with Fred Zanaboni when he first started establishing an account in Boston, which I think they're 152 years old this year, which is Peretti. My hat off to Peretti, Peretti's. And Fred Zanaboni started bringing another world to us. But social media and everything has brought this whole world to this whole world. And I said, there's no boundaries. There's no boundaries. To me, I make a Fuente cigar for people, not for territories. I don't make a Fuente cigar for the Ybor City friends that my grandfather did. To me, Fuente belongs to everyone who really would appreciate it, would protect it, would understand what our philosophy is. And there's the same people all around the world. And again, going back to what you just said, we are all one. And my goal is to be able to provide those cigars that those that would appreciate it, cherish it, and love people. And that's the magic of social media and what it has been able to accomplish.
Without a doubt. And something that I said on Coop Show, because Coop agreed a lot on stuff, is how people for a long time did not want to recognize the role of women. The impact that women have had on the cigar industry. Of course, like I said, we have some posers and things like that, but the majority of them, they go to the lounge and they just lighten everything up. The men, this was something I can't remember what show I said it. So the guys are there, and all of a sudden, a guy, let's say he's smoking just regular cigars, a $5, $6 cigar. Nothing wrong with that. But all of this sudden, 2 or 3 women come in, all of a sudden, even if the guy doesn't have a lot of money, he'll come up and buy maybe a $10, $12 cigar. You know what? To try to impress, which is nothing wrong with that.
It's human
But it
nature.
tells you, exactly, it's human nature. But look how our Afro-Americans, brothers of the leaf, have impacted our industry. Just go to Maryland, just go to Atlanta. Some of the most beautiful shops that I've seen in the country are actually in Atlanta, owned by Afro-Americans. Look how they've grown. They're respectful, they behave. And to be honest, they buy also, which
Let me
is
tell you
also
something.
important for the show. Amazing.
Among my best friends in social media, or I don't see them as Afro Americans, whatever. They're American. And let me just say something. And women who own smoke shops, who promote and enjoy cigars, they know more about cigars. And they write me, Carlito, this cigar was soft and this and that. They know. And it always has been that way. They just never had the opportunity.
Exactly.
And it always has been that. There's always been women tasting cigars in every major factory, and you know that. And you've been in Dominican Republic, and there's always been majority women over men.
Oh,
And
yeah.
many things. And today, Ciro's tell you there, some of our key positions are women. And you know, women are such a big part. They were with my grandmother. They were with my aunts. You know, at the boom of Tampa, the boom. It was women making cigars because all the men were in First World War making, you know, they had to leave. The women have been a big part of this, but the information was censored to not give them the recognition that they deserve. I'm very happy, Jose, more than anything. That listen, more than anything, more than social media, to me the most rewarding thing in my lifetime is to see women enjoying cigars alongside with men. So many women own smoke shops, run the cigar lounges. Women are a big part of this world. I have the highest respect and everything. It was necessary. And women is what's going to what's going to take our world cigars to the next level. I believe so much in their ability to appreciate the better things in life and their ability to communicate with each other and to be able to socialize this philosophy and everything. What they are doing is incredible. And just measure today, write today's date, and look 2 years from now, and you see how many sisters of the Leaf organizations there's going to be all over the world. You think I'm going to follow a guy with, I don't want to say like me, with a Tommy Bahama shirt weighing 400 pounds or 500 pounds, all full of holes and everything? Or am I going to follow a Michy smoking a cigar and laughing and smiling, or anybody else? You know, you're going to see what's going to happen. It's very, very special because the women, you see people like Denise that you introduced me to, Anastasia. These are ladies with great backgrounds in education, and they're not there promoting brands. They're there promoting how to enjoy life, the tasting, the pairing. They're sommeliers. They have brought professionalism into the world of tasting cigars and making it cool for a woman to enjoy a cigar because they're the ones up front. They're social. Not that it doesn't happen behind the scenes. Of course it does. It's been happening in Casa Fuente since the first day I went there. There were more women there than men. And the more women came, the more men came and spent money. And that's always been the secret to Casa Fuente. We know that from the very beginning. I wish I lived closer to Las Vegas. But this is a reality, and this is the best thing that's happened to our world.
It's the fastest growing segment have been women in the last 3 years. And this COVID has even explored more. And you're right. And I see all these groups that I'm friends with, Sisters of the Leaf from all over. But way before that, do you remember Don and Mary Lynn out in, remember, they had the cigar babes. I remember they went, when I was in La Aurora, 23 of them. I had them there for 3 days. Incredible. And we cannot have a show without mentioning to who I consider an institution, even though she's not with us, and I know how close she was to your family. Diana Silvas
Oh my
in
God.
Chicago.
Oh my God. The queen. The queen. Of course, Diana Silvas. She's the leader of the industry of retailers. In many ways, the face. I'm not saying she was the best retailer, but she was amazing. There's nothing to say negative about her. But she was so authoritative. She was just in front. She fought. She was a warrior, man. She was a warrior. She fought. She defended. She she didn't shy down from any obstacle. She protected the leaf. And she was there with a cigar, her dark glasses, her leather boots above her knees on that Harley Davidson, taking photos. That wasn't her everyday thing, but she was a beautiful woman. And I tell you, it's just to the day, right before I walk in the main door to my office, I have a little altar, and there's her photo with me. She's a special person, and it's not because she was a woman, because she was just great for the industry, and she is a role model for me and Cynthia. She has been Cynthia's role model her whole life. Okay, Cynthia's role model is Diana Getz, and because we all know Diana Getz and everything.
The funny thing about Diana, like we say in Spanish, ella no tenía pelo en la lengua. Because Diana, a rep would come in from a company, and I had the occasion to see it many times, and they would give her a Diana cigar. Diana's there smoking. And after 10 to 15 minutes, doesn't matter what company it was. So, Diana, what do you think of the cigar? She would take a puff and say, what a piece of crap.
Yeah, that was Diana. I'm going to tell you something about Diana. The first video ever that I'm aware of that was made on cigars, video with an 8-track, whatever it was, a big camera, was Diana Getz that put a video, came to visit us 1982, 83. And she worked on this video for about a year. And one day I'm in Chicago, and go to her second floor. She had like a little office that
Yeah,
she showed me
yeah.
the video. And I hear this music. I go, damn, that music. It was the freaking Gypsy Kings, man. It was just like so. I said, Diana, the music, you can't use that music. Don't worry about it. They're going to sue me. They won't sue you. I'm the one that's doing this thing. Don't worry about it. And I'll fix it with them, whatever. That woman was, she was gun-ho. She was one of the first that started doing cigar dinners. One of the first that started cigar dinners. She's one of the first that did things for charities. I don't know if anybody remembers this. People who've been around will remember. People of the industry will remember. I'm sure, like the Gary Peshes and perhaps I don't know, the great. It's a lot to remember. We made Diana cigar, the Diana Silvia cigar.
I know.
And there was a real diamond in every box on the inside lid where the diamond little thing was. We inserted a real diamond. We smuggled the diamonds in. It drove me crazy. I was scared, but I loved her so much. A little bag like this, a small little chips. And I remember there was a guy named Diamond Dave that brought these diamonds. I mean, listen, Chicago was an amazing place back in the 80s. But there was a real, and I used to personally count them because I was afraid there's people in the cigar, the box company, everything. And I used to say, okay, we got 20 boxes here, 20 little chips. You got to put this here and everything. It's glass. Mierda, there were diamonds. That's the way she was. It was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I remember it was a natural and a maduro.
Yeah.
So do you guys think she's the one that paved the way for more women to open cigar shops?
But she's not the only one. There were many, because when I used to go to a trade convention, there were a lot of the shops were run by women. They may have been owned by a husband and wife, but they were run by women. A lot of shops, women were just always. I'm talking about the 80s, okay, and maybe the 70s, but the 80s. There were so many shops. They were always run by women. A lot were run by women.
Carlito, do you remember Linda Williams in Atlanta? She had 4 tinderboxes.
Yes. And what's the name of the other Linda in California? It was Mary the Berry that worked with Consolidated.
Linda.
She was a beautiful.
No.
Linda, beautiful lady, blue eye, but beautiful. But whatever. Yeah, there's so many. There were so many. My God, so many. That's really what I'm trying to bring out. That this is not new. This is like long deserved. This is something very special. I'm glad you brought that up, Jose. I didn't bring it up.
Susie Telford.
Yes, of course.
There were
D Ingles. I mean, come on, there's so many.
Oh, Dee's a sweetheart.
Hey,
we were supposed to do this broadcast.
how about the Ferguson,
today.
the beautiful Ferguson daughters, man? The Ferguson daughters. Okay, I know it was Ferguson, but the daughters were the ones. Yeah, of course. There's so many. It's on
And
and
then
on and on.
the two sisters in Houston too.
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to forget that, man. They're beautiful ladies. They work very hard. One passed away. Listen, I love them so much. They were so passionate with the Leaf. Yeah, the two sisters. It just goes on. Jose, you're not talking about 2 years ago. You're talking about 20 years ago. So this is not
20
something.
plus.
20 plus. So the point I'm trying to make, this is not something that happened because of the pandemic. They're not women around. This has been around. They were just not recognized by the world. We knew it in the industry. We respected that. They were our best customers, not because they were women, because they were great tobacconists. They love people, and they just, I mean, there's so many. It's nonstop.
They are one of the retailers that we were actually supposed to do this show with Jose today from was Consuelo, Santiago, and Santiago Cigar Lounge.
Absolutely beautiful. Good example. Good example. And talking about Bethlehem, we have a brother there. I have a son that seems to be doing well, but it's not him. It's his wife that's doing everything. It's his wife who's holding the fort together. I don't think he would have made it this far without him.
Due to, unfortunately, we have Henry coming up here, so it kind of put a damper to our plans to travel today. But we were supposed to be live from there today.
Yeah, well, I wish you luck, man. I wish you luck with Henry. It's going to be a lot of rain, I understand.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of rain since about 10 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
Record highs in rains for New York City. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I hope you have Netflix and all these other things. So be able to watch a movie, cuddle up, stay warm, open up a bottle of wine, smoke a cigar, and hug each other.
That's the plan.
It's enough liquor here to go.
oh yeah, that we know. Michy, any other questions? And Jose?
Let's see.
So you were saying that you iterated that next year's trade shows will be a lot better, and I have to say that I'm looking forward to that. Jose and I, we're ready. Anything else, Jose? You wanna?
One of the things that I wanted to ask you was about your line that you had, and I know Emma, your beautiful wife, has now kind of taken over the reins for it. And it's funny because now that more and more people have had the opportunity to meet or learn about you during the pandemic, I've heard a lot of people mention Senora come up a lot. What do you feel through your years impacted you to take the step and take the leap and do your own brand?
It was a dream that I had, and like I said, we were doing very well in the States. We had a whole team of guys selling it. In Europe, we had a lot of people selling it also. But when the decision came with the FBA, with the ruling of the 2016, 8th of August of 2016, we had to make a decision. And if, who knows, things life, maybe we would have continued. We made a lot of more money with it. We had more sales. But I didn't want to take that risk. I'm glad for the rest of the industry that a lot of people also made the same decision that I did. But a lot of people stayed, and things have worked out. To me, the most important thing at the end of the day is that all these people have not been affected till now. It could happen in the future. That everybody's doing well.
If there's one thing that you could make happen tomorrow, if you had the capability to better the industry, what would it be?
First of all, for the FDA to leave us alone. And for these states that have gone totally out of control, destroying brick and mortar shops with excessive taxation, like California with 67%. Minnesota one time had 43 shops, and when they brought the taxes up to 90%, only 5 shops were left. They brought it down to, they realized that they destroyed the industry there, the retail. The same thing happened with Arkansas. But those states gladly have realized that they are making, with those high taxes, they just bankrupt a whole bunch of people. Brought down a 50% cap. More shops have been opening, especially in Arkansas and also in Minnesota. Because what's happened when the states go with a high tax price, what happens? The retailers disappear, and then people go to online. And then I don't have anything against the online people, to be honest. But when you buy online and you want to go to a cigar shop, I don't think it's fair. Do you take a 6-pack or do you take a steak to a restaurant to have it made? No. We have to support brick and mortar. That's the backbone of our industry. Mom and pop shops. Whether it's a shop that does $300,000 a year or a shop that does $2 million a year. It's all the same thing. It's all retail. You know, bringing an opportunity for people to be able to smoke, to enjoy, to meet, to network, whatever. It's just have a great time.
Totally agree. One of the things I've heard you mention in recent weeks, and I know it's been a big topic of conversation amongst people that are really following what's going on in the industry, is the potential shortages that we're going to have with tobacco. What do you think is something that we can do to combat against that and not face shortages with supply and demand?
No, that is something that nobody can control because all that depends on Mother Nature. Like Nicaragua this year, they lost 30% of their filler crop. Nicaragua also has a political situation. Nicaragua also has a situation where every day busloads of people are just going directly to the border because of all the jobs that are needed in the state. So they're selling their houses, their cars, everything just to go over there. So that's one of the greatest threats that the industry has in Nicaragua right now. Prices of tobacco in the last 3 or 4 months have gone up between 50 cents to $1.50 a pound. And that's a huge impact for the industry.
Great to hear. Speaking of impacts to the industry, if not a lot of people know, you actually work with the international division for Arturo Fuente. What do you feel is the potential outlook for the international market?
I mean, to be honest, everybody knows that every cigar that we made, we've been in back order for, I don't know, the last 15, 20 years. Even though every year, Carlito and the team down there, they try to make more cigars, but unfortunately, COVID affected us for a lot of months. And even though we've taken all the precautions at the factory, you can't cut corners and things like that. The same process that's been done through decades and decades for Fuente still continues. Good old age tobacco. Cigars are made. They're put to rest 90 days, 180 days. Some cigars are left for a year. Some cigars are left for 3 years, and Carlito won't release them. So we're facing shortages of everything and worldwide. It's not only in the States and Europe also. But at least with us, all our distributors, we have been sending them product. We can't send them everything they want because we don't have them. But there's companies that have totally abandoned, I'm not going to name companies, that have totally abandoned the international market to sell in the States. So that's decisions the company have to make, and then they have to live with it.
So I guess we're gonna call it a wrap because I know that it's late for you out there and it's Sunday and everybody wants to get to the dinners and whatnot, family time. So I just want to thank everybody who's watching and that's tuned in with us. And I want to thank you, Jose, for taking time out of your evening to spend with us. And this was truly an amazing experience to share this time with you. And I'm sure that Jose also feels the same way. Um, I also want to thank Carlito and Cynthia and Cito for joining us and coming in and uh, giving us their 2 cents. And this is just, you guys are just a wonderful family. We are all just one big wonderful family, and we are truly blessed to be a part of it.
Let me tell you something. I think I still have a couple of good years on me, and I'm dedicated to Carlito, to Cynthia, to Cito, to Liana, to the whole corporation, all the guys in Tampa, which Carlito knows I interact with a lot of them. But I wouldn't change this for the world. If I were to die today, and I hope I don't, and I go up there and St. Peter says, okay, Blanco, we're going to send you back down, but on one condition. And I'm going to say, St. Peter, so what? He says, you can come down to anything you want. You can be a singer, you can be an actor, you can be a dancer, you can be a writer. And I'm going to tell him, you know what, St. Pete, send me down again, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be a tobacco man again. I'm going to do it again and again and again. So I want to thank you and Jose. Was glad meeting you in Vegas. The great support that you've given us, especially Casa Cuba, that is, I know, close to all of us. And you are wonderful people. I appreciate you. And, I've told you that anytime you need me for anything, you can count me. Just count on me. If there's something you don't know, just text me. I'll get back to you, and I'll give you my 2 cents. I know Carlito, before we end the show, has something to do, but please don't bust my balls.
I know exactly what to say, Jose. And I was thinking about saying, but maybe I'll say it in private. But I just want to say, listening to you, I'm so grateful to have such a powerful member of our team that could speak with so much experience, so much knowledge, and so much sincerity, so much truth to let the world know. You talk about tobacco, you talk about the shortages, you talk about the difficulties. This is a reality. It's getting more and more difficult every day. Cyril and I talk about that daily. It's becoming more and more difficult. Even here in the Dominican Republic, we're teaching 50 people at a time. We have the space, and and they have their air conditioning, their uniforms. It's like they're working like in a bank, in a museum. They have all the access to all the specialty, everything that everybody else has. And we were losing so many people. It didn't make sense. They're being paid so much money. It didn't make sense compared to everything else. And we realized, and when we started investigating through human resources, there is so much money coming into the Dominican Republic. That's just the Dominican Republic. From families in Miami, New York, Boston, Chicago, all the Dominican families, they have excess money. There's so much money in the United States. People don't want to work. What is happening in the United States is reflecting here. It's crazy. And just like my colleagues, listen, I was in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago, and my colleagues told me from Nicaragua and Honduras, listen, we're losing people. We're losing people that work in tobacco, people who have homes and cars and that really were established. We're losing them because they're being promised something else. It's a very difficult situation. Tobacco, yes, weather, but we've been struggling through weather for so many decades and everything. Weather was always going to be something that we have to face, but something's different is happening. As things change, the tobacco industry changes. There are these forces coming in who are controlling things. Without going, because this is another topic for another story, who are controlling the lands of the tobacco, who are running the family businesses out, which is all becoming, it's just becoming like it's a different world. I don't want to get into that now, but you know that. But what I want to just bring up, I appreciate it very much. But I also want to say, you know how back of my mind thinks when they ask you if you know what is it you want, and you said if you go and and you talk to St. Peter and this and that, send you down. Have you ever thought maybe one of the best things, or you ever thought? I mean, I don't know if it goes through your mind or my mind alone, that you wouldn't want to be the greatest porn star of all times? Is that not something you would consider?
You're muted, Jose.
You and Jeremiah got
Yeah,
problems.
I'm nuts. I told you. Hey, listen, this is what we're all about. Remember?
Ciro's laughing because he knows it better than me because he spends more time with you.
Hey, if you can't make cigars, man, maybe you could do something else that people, whatever it is. I'm just questioning. Ever goes through your mind?
No, that one never goes through my mind.
Well, then you can never be the greatest artist of all time, because all artists have a little child in their soul and their hearts and everything. And you have to bust balls. You have to bust balls to keep smiling through difficult times, whatever it is. We got to find a way to bust balls. Bust balls. There'll be a cigar coming out soon. Somebody's watching, and they're going to call it a ball buster. You watch.
But again, Michy, Jose, Carlito, thanks for tuning in.
No, thank you
Cito
all.
Also, my cousin Joey, Jay Davis, Mark, all the friends, Gracie. I mean, I can't keep up with everybody.
Gracie's on too?
Yeah, Gracie's on too. Mark too. Mark, Mark is one of our. Mark is
thank you, everyone.
Good friends. Jay Davis, that we wish him all the best.
Of course.
In his new
Jay.
role, in his new role on at the CRA, at the PCA, at the PCA, and we hope we wish him the best. So, guys, good night, Carlito, Ciro, Jose, Michy. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor for me to be there, and you guys try to behave. Keep safe.
You too, man.
You
Take
too.
care.
And everybody, with that, have a happy Casa Cuba Sunday.
Happy Casa Cuba Sunday, and God bless you all.
Look at the way I knocked that double dose down.
You sure did. Abrazos a todos. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oye, si va a llover, que llueva. Lo que no quiero es chin chin.